Welcome back into TigerNet Talk. Clemson Tiger fans, glad to be here with you once again live on Wednesday evenings, 10 p.m. on the front page of TigerNet and also live on Vocal. That's VOKLE.com. I hope you'll come and join us here in the chat room. Just click on join or follow host, whatever. We want to add you into our group of folks who follow us each and every week as we do both TigerNet Talk and Clemson Hotline right here live for you. I tell you, I'd rather do the show live for you than canned for a million people. Trust me. As good as the show might be in the can, it is much better to do it live so we get a little bit of interaction with you. Hashtag TN Talk is the way you can take part in the program on Twitter. Just put the hashtag TN Talk, all one word. It'll come right to us, and everybody's embracing the hashtag now. I see it everywhere I turn. The Olympics, it doesn't matter, NBC, CBS, ABC, for crying out loud, even the news stations now have all of their little hashtags on there so you can tweet to people about their news programs and such. So it's become a pretty popular method. We've also got an opportunity for you to join us here on the program. I mentioned the chat room, but you can also send a live text question to us here on the program. We can take that. We can also take video questions, but since I don't have anybody really doing my monitoring of the video questions right now, I don't know that we would take one. We've had some audio issues in the past. Phone lines open, 803-450-0086. That's 803-450-0086. And big doings going on in Tiger Town as the Clemson Tigers finally get out to the practice fields. They get padded up after a few days of getting out there and I guess making a little bit of contact, but nothing too physical right now. And that's one of the big keys, I think, when you talk about teams in general, right, during this time of the season. The worst thing that can happen is to have your breaking news coming out that some star player tore his ACL, some star player hurt his ankle, and he's going to be out for 6, 8, 10 weeks, whatever the recovery time may be. So we've got a whole lot to get to on the program here. About 10:20 or so, we're going to have David Hood of TigerNet.com come on and join us here on the program. David does a fantastic job covering the Clemson Tigers throughout the year. We're going to have him on and get his early feelings or early returns, if you will, of what he's thinking about this Clemson Tiger team. And throughout the season, you'll hear from both David Hood and Greg Wallace of the Anderson Independent Mail. We've lined up a number of different Clemson Tiger sports figures for down the road. So we've got a whole lot coming to you here in the coming months. And I certainly hope that you will continue to listen to us, participate with us, download us, do everything that you have to do to take part in the program, because it means everything to me to have you be a part of it. We really strive to give you the best Clemson Tiger program out there. And we'll start this week's program with the polls and a little bit of maybe some of the Terry Don Phillips stuff, the changing of the guard perhaps coming up not too long at the athletic director position at Clemson. We're definitely going to focus on that next week, on next week's program. You know, that news kind of just breaking recently. I had a little bit of time to digest it, to take it all in. It's something that we expected for a while. I think a lot of people aren't shocked by the initial indication of Terry Don Phillips is going to be stepping down at Clemson eventually. But I think there is a segment of the population, especially Clemson Tiger fans, who are torn between which way do you go. Do you go outside of the Clemson family, or do you keep it inside the Clemson family? I think that's something I want to hear from you this week. So email us, clemson81@gmail.com, or tweet to us, or give us a call, 803-450-0086, and let us know what you think. Should Clemson hire outside the family the next athletic director, or should it be somebody who has ties to Clemson? I think that's one of the key factors. You know, obviously right now things are headed in the right direction. I don't think anybody can deny that fact when you look at what's going on the football field specifically. Now you could get into the other sports, Olympic and basketball, and baseball, and you could say, well, perhaps Clemson's not as good as we had hoped they would be in those sports at this time. I mean, when you bring in a guy like Terry Don Phillips from Oklahoma State, who had done a good job there, I think as far as the football goes and getting the job done, he's done a great job. I don't think anybody, would argue with that fact. But when you look at the way some of the other programs have performed, or maybe I should say underperformed. Soccer, not where it once was. Baseball doesn't seem to be where it once was. And maybe I'm being a little bit harsh, but I think there is a very large segment of the population of Clemson Tiger fans who feel like that Terry Don Phillips has not done as good a job as maybe they had hoped when he got the position. Now, there are going to be some names thrown around. I've already heard Jeff Davis. I don't know about Jeff's qualifications. I know he runs his um, Call Me Mr. program, clearly one of the faces of Clemson Tiger football in the history. He'll be a name I'm sure people are going to talk about. I even had somebody tell me Danny Ford. I just seems a little bit ridiculous to me, completely ridiculous. I don't even think Danny Ford would want that job if he were offered that job. But finally, the one name that keeps cropping up, and I gotta agree at this point, would be my leader in the clubhouse. If I had to pick it, might be Dwight Clark. You look at Dwight Clark's tenure in the NFL. I know it hasn't been or it wasn't overly successful at times, but here's a guy who is arguably has one of the, if not the most famous play in NFL history with his name attached to it. You're bringing back a Clemson guy, a guy who was around the program back during the rise of the late 70s. I think all of a sudden, of all the people that are tied to the program, that would be my number one guy right now. But I still got to do a little bit of soul searching on that and maybe even look to the outside and how you evaluate who you go with. People jokingly said, hey, how about Jack Leggett? Of course, South Carolina hiring Ray Tanner. Clemson people thought that would be a funny little ribbing there of Jack Leggett. I don't know who it's going to be at this time, but my leader, for me personally, the guy who I think fits the billing would bring a good tie. We had Jim Stuckey on the program a couple of years ago, right after Dabo Swinney took over the program. And Stuckey said to me, he said, look, things have changed. Dabo is bringing in the guys who won Atlantic Coast Conference championships and national championships. We're in the locker room. We're getting a chance to speak to some of these players, to show the rings, to show the awards that we received. He says Dabo Swinney is getting this team back to a championship-type ball club. I think we saw a glimpse of that last season. I think that's a very fair statement to make. The future, though, that's going to be the big key now. How do you keep going? How do you keep this thing headed in the right direction? Elevate the program. Maybe it's bringing a guy who was around the program during that time. But we'll have more on the athletic director search, the athletic director. I fully expect, obviously, that Terry Don Phillips is going to stay out his entire tenure. I believe it runs out June 30th of 2013. But maybe they get somebody in. Maybe you have a little grooming process, a nice transition, if you will, similarly to how the United States does it maybe with the president, where you have a fairly nice transition. There's some time involved. It's not a hasty decision. But we will keep you informed on that. We'll let you know what we think. But right now, my early leader, again, Dwight Clark, that would be a Clemson guy who's obviously had some executive experience, a guy who's still well-known, well-liked amongst Clemson fans, and I think a face that Clemson would like to put out there as being their athletic director if you're going to go from somebody in-house. Now, the USA Today coaches poll came out a little under a week ago now. I believe it was exactly a week ago by the time most of you listening to the podcast get this program. But the top five: LSU, Alabama, Southern Cal, Oklahoma, and Oregon, followed by 6 through 10, Georgia, Florida State comes in at number 7, Michigan, South Carolina is at 9, Arkansas at 10, and West Virginia is 11, Wisconsin, Michigan State, Clemson comes in at 14, and Texas is at 15. So that's a brief look at the top 15 in the USA Today coaches poll, and you see Clemson and Florida State right up there in the mix near the top of the polls. You can only imagine if both of those teams can win their opening few ball games heading into that game down in Tallahassee. You know it's going to be big for Clemson Tiger Nation, but can you imagine how big it could be for the implications of maybe who's going to make a run at the national championship if one team from the Atlantic Coast Conference is going to do it? It's probably the winner of that game. I'm not discrediting the Coastal Division, but clearly this season coming in, when you look at the losses for Virginia Tech on the offensive side of the ball, Clemson and Florida State, whoever gets a leg up in that Week 4 matchup has an inside track to maybe have a very nice ending to the season. Of course, both teams, Florida State and Clemson, do play Virginia Tech, but the opportunity clearly exists at that point for Clemson to have one heck of a year. If, in Week 4, this young ball club, over half of these guys, sophomores and freshmen, if these underclassmen can have an amazing start to this season, all of a sudden, you get through that Auburn game. You have a couple of, breezy games at home, pretty easy breezy, if you ask me, at home, down to Tallahassee for a real opportunity. A whole lot more to get to here on the program. David Hood, senior writer for TigerNet.com, is coming up right after the break. Stay with us.
South Carolina, low country.
Want to hear the sound of hassle-free traveling?
All aboard!
Amtrak takes the hassle out of traveling to over 500 destinations. You can stretch out in a spacious seat, relax in a sleeping car, and enjoy a hot meal in the dining car. And for those who want to kick back and take in the scenery, go right ahead. For everything you get on Amtrak, the one thing you won't get is this. So whether you're going to a family reunion or an away game, make it a whole lot nicer on Amtrak. Book your trip today at Amtrak.com or call 1-800-USA-RAIL.
All aboard!
Listen, if you're considering buying hardwood flooring, don't do anything until you've written down this number and received your free Lumber Liquidators catalog.
The flooring with high quality with an unbeatable price tag.
Call in the next 10 minutes to get your free catalog.
What I bought at Lumber Liquidators is a vastly higher quality than flooring I had installed 6 years ago, and for a fraction of the cost.
So if you want great hardwood flooring at unbeatable prices, trust Lumber Liquidators. We buy direct from the mills. Call right now to get our flooring guide and catalog absolutely free. It's filled with top quality hardwood flooring, including solid hardwoods, laminates, and bamboos, and even Bellawood pre-finished flooring with a 100-year transferable warranty. The same floor Bob Vila has in his home. This free catalog is full of tips, ideas, and our flooring project list to make your buying decisions easy. Hurry, call right now to get a copy of this free guide and catalog. Call 877-238-6302 to get your free copy now. 877-238-6302. 877-238-6302.
Hate the thought of shopping? All that hassle and can't find what you're looking for anyway? We understand. Retail stores make it difficult. Instead, try www.edistooutdoors.com. Edisto Outdoors features performance apparel and gear engineered for performance, comfort, and style. EdistoOutdoors.com. You'll enjoy the shopping and you'll enjoy the products. Great products from people who care.
Hey there, Clemson Tiger fans. If you're interested in advertising with Clemson Podcasts, go to ClemsonPodcasts.com and click on the advertising link. And as always, go Tigers!
Remember all the stories growing up as a kid about refrigerator Perry and just how hard he hit. And my mama told me homecoming games are the best on the banks of those late fall, late
Jesse Rice. Good stuff there. Jesse Rice. It's a great day to be a Clemson Tiger. There's that Jeff Davis reference. We talked about Jeff Davis in the opening segment, of course, as one of the names that people are throwing up. That's not exactly the best term to use, but a name that people are bringing up, perhaps as being the guy who could take over this athletic director position. But we bring in now David Hood, senior writer for TigerNet.com. David, great to have you on TigerNet Talk, man. Looking forward to spending some time with you, and we'll start right there with the athletic director situation. I know that there's a long time here between the news that's kind of coming out and the future of this athletic program, but right now, what are your early indications about the way the program's headed as far as the athletic department?
Well, I go back to my conversation with Terry Don back in, I think it was early May, and it was, the football program is definitely headed in the right direction. Some of the Olympic sports took a little bit of a step back over the past few years, but you have to like what's going on there. Track and field has continued to stay strong. It looks like they've got the right hire for men and women's soccer. Brad Brownell certainly looks like a great hire for basketball, and Coach Coleman for women's basketball, even trying to get that back where it once was. Everybody knew that was going to take some time, and then just going away from the actual sports themselves, that you take a look at the facilities, everything that's going on with the restaurant, the indoor practice facility, the updates to Rick's Field, the updates to tennis. You've got the new golf facility over there. I was taking a look at it tonight, and I think everything is truly headed in the right direction. It's not like somebody really needs to come in and fix something, but maybe just keep the momentum going.
And is this one of those things where the biggest issue people are going to have with the hire is whether or not it's a Clemson guy who gets the job? Because that seems to me to be the only sticking point for anybody. It's we want a Clemson guy running the athletic department.
Yeah, when it comes down to what the fans are thinking, that might be a little bit of a sticking point. And, what I tried to caution a few people that I talked to today is, maybe instead of a Clemson guy, I think we would all want a Clemson guy. Would it be would Dwight Clark come back? Would it Bill DeAndrea? Would he want to take it over? I think he'd be a great choice. And a lot of people have mentioned, ex-coaches and things like that. Is, I think in this day and time that person has to have a great balance of both athletic knowledge, but also be a business person. And have a great business background, because this type of a job, Clemson, you have to take a look at it. Clemson is a multi-million-dollar business. That's what it is, and the athletic programs are a business, and they've got to be able to to raise funds, to allocate funds, to help pay coaches' salaries. So you got to have to be a little bit of both. Is that going to be a Clemson guy, or somebody that kind of fits that criteria? I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how that all comes out. If you can find that one person that kind of is the dichotomy is both great at athletics and business as well.
Well, this past week, the Clemson Tigers got out on the practice field for the first time. In fact, suiting up in pads for the first time earlier today, Wednesday. But, this team took some hits in the offseason, especially the knowledge that there was going to most likely be a suspension for Sammy Watkins. That comes down. It's a 2-game suspension by Dabo Swinney. What's been the reaction of the players and the coaching staff to the news that the Tigers will be without their superstar for the first 2 games of the season?
Well, I think all the players are kind of telling the company line. It's something that, we thought could happen, and it's, not going to change our preparation, and it's not what we do. Sammy is out there actually, becoming more of a coach out on the field, which is something when you're talking about a young man who's just a sophomore, but he's actually helping, coach up some of the other receivers, some of the younger guys, and I think from the coaches and players, it's going to be business as usual. And I'm one of these people. I'm probably going to get killed for saying this, but something like that, it may actually wind up helping this team in the long run if you can go in and you can beat Auburn without Sammy, because. I think last year when Sammy wasn't on the field, it was kind of a thing of, hey, are we going to be able to win without Sammy Watkins? Well, guess what? There's a lot of talented people on that football team, defensively, offensively, with Andre Ellington, Martavis Bryant, Sharon Peake, Jerron Brown, Nuke Hopkins, Brandon Ford. Tell me when you want me to stop. And that's might be one of those situations where not having him out there in that first game, if you're going to get a big win, it may actually wind up helping this team in the long run, knowing that they can go win a big game without Sammy.
And when you look back to the fact that last season with Sammy Watkins coming on as good as he was, I think the job that DeAndre Hopkins did was unbelievable in not only maybe sliding to the side a little bit, but really accepting Sammy and really nurturing him to become the great player that he was. You talked about it. My next question for you, what would a win mean with Sammy Watkins out, and what does that do for this team against Auburn. But does that maybe give, and you already answered that, so do you think that might give this team the edge that maybe they've missed in opening? They don't open the season on the road that often. In fact, I think they've only won one opening season road game since like 1985, some ridiculous number. It doesn't happen much, though. But anyway, when you talk about that, will maybe not having your superstar, that All-American freshman on the team in Atlanta, maybe that gives Clemson the edge they need coming into that ball game?
It might, and that's what I was talking to one of the players about earlier. Was, you're not going to have that great guy, so this might be one of those situations where I'm like, oh, you know what, I've got to do my part, and I've got to step up, and everybody really goes into that game kind of unified, and people were saying, hey, we won't be able to beat this team without Sammy Watkins, even though I think early lines have the Tigers favored in the contest, but a lot of people are saying there's no way Clemson can win. But maybe this might bring the team together. They realize people that maybe wouldn't have been expected to step up, now they will, and they'll prepare for this contest even harder. Like you said, it may wind up being something good in the long run.
David Hood, senior writer for TigerNet.com, joins us here on TigerNet Talk, and we look forward to having him on Clemson Hotline and TigerNet Talk throughout the football season. David, when Clemson Tiger fans look at this team, they really focus on both sides of the ball at the offensive and defensive line. I know that Gifford Timothy had a little bit of an injury to his knee in practice on Wednesday, but maybe if we're fortunate, by the time many people are picking this up on podcast, it will be that it's not that bad of an injury. But right now, what have been the early returns on the offensive and defensive lines?
Starting with the offensive line, every time we talk to the coaches, we keep hearing about Shaq Anthony, and Shaq Anthony is maybe a guy when you talk about the projected 5 starters, and then who are you going to get to come in and maybe play to make up those 6, 7, and 8 spots. You heard a lot about Ryan Norton. You heard a lot about Joe Gore. You heard a lot about Isaiah Battle. You heard Reed Webster mentioned. Maybe not so much Shaq Anthony, but now you're hearing that name a lot. And I talked to Brandon Thomas tonight. Brandon said that Shaq's been working almost predominantly at left tackle, been getting a lot of work there. He actually knows the playbook, and he's picked it up. And then Coach Sweeney talked about Ryan Norton. He's backing up at center, and he's kind of been a little bit of a revelation. You hear about Joe Gore at right tackle. If Timothy does happen to miss some time, you hope not. Dabo said, he thinks it might be a bell strain, which that would be great news. But if not, you're looking at Joe Gore, who's got the height. He's got that size that you kind of like in a right tackle. So I think if it's concerns on the offensive line, I asked Brandon Thomas tonight, I said, how can this offensive line be better? What's the difference? And he said, we're more athletic than last year's line was. And we maybe can move at a little bit more of a higher pace, up that tempo a little bit. When you run that football, wear some people out. So, I think for what Chad Morris is trying to do, this offensive line may actually be better than people think. When you go to the defensive line, talking to Coach Venables tonight, a lot of people, they thought coming into the season that the problem may be in the tackle spot. Now that worry seems to be more out of kind of the lack of depth and the experience that you do have. You have a Malachi Goodman. He only has 5 career sacks in 3 full seasons. Not exactly the kind of guy, that you say, boy, he's going to be a great player for us. He still has to prove it for Crawford. He's stepping into Andre Branch's spot over there at the weak side defensive end spot. He's got a lot to prove. They moved Tavares Bonds over from defensive tackle to defensive end this week. He's going to work in behind him, and it sounds like he can do it. So, but you hear good things out of Big Beasley at that other defensive end spot, the weak side spot, in behind Corey Crawford. Talking about the defensive tackles tonight, Dabo couldn't stop raving about Sean Williams, Grady Jarrett, and Josh Watson especially. He said all 3 of those guys, if he could just bottle up what they have and just have a football team of guys with that kind of a makeup, that he could go win with them. Josh Watson said tonight, told me, hey, I've been here 3 years, I get it. And he said, here was a point that he brought up that I haven't really thought about before. All of the guys who are on this defensive line, they haven't had any other coach other than Coach Brooks. You couldn't really say that last year with Green Moore and Brandon Thompson. And he said, we all buy into what Coach Brooks is telling us, and we're almost like robots out there. We know what our jobs are. We think we can actually be better on this line than what we had last year. And he mentioned DJ Reader and Carlos Watson, two of the freshmen. They're really coming along, and I asked him, I said, which of the two, Carlos Watson and DJ Reader, is really impressing you more? And he said, DJ Reader, it's hard to move out of there. He called him a plug, and he said he's picking it up pretty well. So, I think defensive line, those defensive tackle spots may actually wind up being a strength on the defense.
Yeah, I feel bad for any pitcher if DJ Reader decides to storm the mound.
DJ, DJ's a pitcher in his own right. Supposedly, got a 90-mile-an-hour fastball. But what he looked like out on the mound staring the batter down.
Yeah, no kidding. If you beamed anybody, they're not coming out there. That kid is a beast. And final question, and we'll get you out of here. Who's the guy right now in your mind that may not be a household name, that by the end of the season, all the little kids at Death Valley want this guy's jersey? All the folks at the tailgates are talking about him after the games. Somebody, I think you come into the season last year with all the highly touted recruits, and I think you could argue easily of Tony Stewart, Shaq Anthony, Mike Bellamy, and Sammy Watkins, the name that people were talking about before the season started, the least of those four guys was Sammy Watkins. Who's that player for Clemson this season?
Are you talking about a true freshman or a freshman, or
I don't.
Somebody that's
in general, I guess my bigger point was the fact that it can be that guy that maybe you don't know anything about at the start of the season.
Well, I think that Stephon Anthony is going to be the guy that, he's getting some publicity, and I think people know who he is. But I was watching him a little bit earlier, last week when we got to go to practice, and I really want to watch him tomorrow. Stephon's got that size. He's 6'3", 6'4", 239 pounds right now. And I was looking at him the other night. To me, he just looks like an NFL linebacker right now. And, talking to Coach Venables, he says he's really picking it up. And it's been a while since Clemson has had that dominant middle linebacker. That guy that opposing defenses will run away from, but they try to stay away from. And I think Stephon can be that guy. And with him in the middle of this year, it looks like that job's really his. And, I think he's going to be the guy at the end of the year. People are going to be talking about Stephon Anthony as a star on the defense. And, he's got one of those jerseys. He's number 12. Everybody's going to know who it is. I think every kid out there is going to be wanting the number 12 jersey.
I hear you. Well, hey, David, man, we appreciate you being a part of the program again, as always, and look forward to keeping up with what you're doing for TigerNet. Everybody check out David Hood's work on the front page of TigerNet each and every day. You do a fantastic job, my man, and I certainly appreciate you joining me.
Man, I appreciate it. You do a great job, and I appreciate you having me on.
All right, thanks a lot. David Hood, excellent stuff there once again from David. He's always a gracious guest, comes on board with us. I know we had a little bit of audio issues there. One thing I'm going to try and do with David is next time we do have him on, I'm going to see if we can't set up a little Skype interview. It seems that sometimes Skype does a little bit better than either the phone lines perhaps or maybe David's phone cutting in and out a little bit. I don't know. For all David might live in the woods. I don't really know what kind of cell service he has, but I can tell you this: whatever type of service it is, it gives you all the goods you need here on TigerNet Talk when he comes in. I hope you guys enjoyed hearing from him. When we come back from this break, if you haven't heard some of the interviews with Daniel Rodriguez, there's a jersey number you want to go get. Number 83. You don't know who Daniel is? You're going to find out right after this. Stay with us.
I used to sneak downtown with my fake ID and watch Doug McCormick rock TDs on a Friday night.
Have you ever wondered how you could make a difference in someone's life? What if you could help hundreds or even thousands of children? You might think it impossible, but it's within your reach. Right now, today, students in the U.S. rank 32nd in world math skills. It's time for our children to catch up. And you can help. Become an owner of one of the world's fastest growing franchises. Mathnasium. Mathnasium is the leading math-only learning center in the U.S. Its only purpose is to make our kids better at math. Imagine helping hundreds, even thousands of students in your community improve in school and raise their self-esteem, all while doing something you truly love. Call us at 800-663-9549 to learn more about Mathnasium's exciting franchise opportunities. That's 800-663-9549 to learn how you can make a difference. Doing something you truly love. That's 800-663-9549. 800-663-9549.
Hate the thought of shopping? All that hassle and can't find what you're looking for anyway? We understand. Retail stores make it difficult. Instead, try www.edistooutdoors.com. Edisto Outdoors features performance apparel and gear engineered for performance, comfort, and style. EdistoOutdoors.com. You'll enjoy the shopping and you'll enjoy the products. Great products from people who care.
Hey there, Clemson Tiger fans. If you're interested in advertising with Clemson Podcasts, go to ClemsonPodcasts.com and click on the advertising link. And as always, go Tigers!
Listen, if you're considering buying hardwood flooring, don't do anything until you've written down this number and received your free Lumber Liquidators catalog.
The flooring with high quality with an unbeatable price tag.
Call in the next 10 minutes to get your free catalog.
What I bought at Lumber Liquidators is of vastly higher quality than flooring I had installed 6 years ago, and for a fraction of the cost.
So if you want great hardwood flooring at unbeatable prices, trust Lumber Liquidators. We buy direct from the mills. Call right now to get our flooring guide and catalog absolutely free. It's filled with top quality hardwood flooring, including solid hardwoods, laminates, and bamboos, and even Bellawood pre-finished flooring with a 100-year transferable warranty. The same floor Bob Vila has in his home. This free catalog is full of tips, ideas, and our flooring project list to make your buying decisions easy. Hurry, call right now to get a copy of this free guide and catalog. Call 877-238-6302 to get your free copy now. 877-238-6302. 877-238-6302.
Clemson Tigers, we coming for you.
Yeah. That's how we do it, baby. The tailgate party. Y'all better come on. It's going down.
We about to back it on up in the parking lot. Got the beer on ice and the grill is hot. On your mark, get set, baby, ready or not. We gonna get some.
Welcome back into TigerNet Talk. I'm your host, Lawton Swann. Glad to be with you. Hashtag TN Talk on Twitter. I know that the team decided that they're not going to take part in social media. They want to focus on the upcoming season, and I don't blame them. I mean, for crying out loud, if you got the attention that they get every time they tweet, they tweet, I'm eating a ham sandwich, and all of a sudden 17 people are giving them, all the breakdown on what's bad about ham and just ridiculous stuff that happens. And then, they say something about, I'm having a tough time, and people are thinking, this guy's transferring. So maybe it's best that they leave the social media for a little while, take a little bit of a break. We're not going to take a break from it, though. Hashtag TN Talk. Follow us on Twitter. As you know, we've probably tweeted 27,000 times. We put out news, information, and more 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We're at Clemson Podcasts. And I got to tell you, we have purchased a new website, getting ready to unroll that in a couple of weeks. You can go to ClemsonSportsTalk.com. That's our website, ClemsonSportsTalk.com. And that'll be the new home of ClemsonPodcast.com once everything gets taken care of. And, again, we do have multiple ad spots available. We are running low, though. We want to get some more of you guys in there and get your business out there in front of Clemson Tiger fans, starting at just $100 a month. What a better investment. You can support a Clemson-based program and get your message out to the Clemson Tiger masses. Well, doing this program the way we do it is it's a good benefit, I think, for a lot of people, because you can take part in it. You can join us live. But when you make a mistake and when you have issues, there's nothing you can do. You can't go back and fix it. You can't retroactively change things. We do have a dump button in case you come on here and try and spout some kind of filth that I don't need to have involved with our program. But we do, from time to time, maybe have some audio issues, and I know that's the case. That could occur, I should say, right now. What we've got is we've got Daniel Rodriguez's interview that he sat down with some of the media over at Clemson. If you haven't heard this, this is some unbelievable stuff. Daniel Rodriguez, you probably know the story. I mean, if you're even remotely follow Clemson sports, you know the story. Daniel Rodriguez, this young man, was in the military in Afghanistan in some of the worst battles ever. I think he's 6 years out of high school, 24, 25 years old, and he is going to be on this Clemson Tiger team this year. He got approved for admission. I don't want to give the whole story away. We got a whole lot of stuff to get to, but here's the fear that I have. If you've ever done any editing whatsoever with Adobe Audition, you know this. Every time that the bar that tells you where you are in the audio file gets to the right-hand side of the screen, it stops playing the audio. I don't know why. I didn't invent the thing. I have no clue what causes that to occur. I'm really going to attempt to do something here I've never done before, and I hope this works. I tried to research it, but nobody else seems to think it's a problem because I don't think they utilize this to maybe play back some of their audio files to people live. I could have queued this up in my hot buttons, but didn't really get around to it. So we're going to roll with it like this, and I hope this comes out well. I hope you can enjoy it. The first question, though, basically that Daniel gets into is how he lands at Clemson. And, folks, I got to tell you, whatever you're doing, if you're reading a book, put it down. If you're getting ready to text your friends or type the next message on TigerNet, stop. Turn off the Olympics because they've already happened. You know, the spoilers are out there. That's been awful, right? It's awful. Anyway, just give me some of your time here and listen to this young man. You know, I talked about with David Hood, who's a guy who isn't a household name right now that could be at the end of the season. I'm not going to tell you that Daniel Rodriguez is going to change the face of Clemson Tiger football. But after you hear this kid, if you aren't convinced that this guy is going to make this a better team, I would absolutely be floored. If you don't think this kid can make Clemson a better team, email us, clemson81@gmail.com. Call us, 803-450-0086. I'd like to know why you think Clemson's not a better team for having this guy on board. First question for Daniel Rodriguez was, how did you land at Clemson?
I really wasn't sure what exactly was going to happen as far as where I would end up, what my future held. And just a lot of guidelines that we had to meet with the NCAA and the ACC. And getting the news yesterday, I knew a lot of hard work had went in from Clemson's end, compliance, meeting with the ACC, with the NCAA, with the waiver and everything like that. It was just kind of that feeling of relief that everything I've worked so hard for, everything that I've done as far as with combat, coming out, going to school, fulfilling my education as far as I have so far, and getting that word that I was going to have an opportunity to suit up this season for Clemson was just, it's one of those moments in my life I won't forget. It's just something that felt amazing. It really felt good, and I'm excited. What's kind of catapulted me was I was involved in one of the worst battles in Afghanistan. On October 3rd, 2009, I was a part of the Battle of Kamdesh, which took place in Nuristan, Afghanistan. Me and roughly 38 other Americans were overrun, close to 400 Taliban. 8 Americans were killed, 22 were wounded, I being one of the wounded. And it's just one of those landmark moments in history right now. It's actually being published in a book as we speak. Comes out. It's called The Cop. And so that is kind of my background of what I amounted to in the military as far as awards go. I was awarded the Purple Heart, Bronze Star Medal of Valor, Archon of Valor, along with other awards. So when I got out of the military, I made a promise to a friend that I was going to play college football when I got out because I didn't want my life to amount or be surrounded or be just military. I didn't want to be just military. I always went in with the idea that it would be a pedestal to what I did in my future. And what I didn't do out of high school was follow my heart and play football. So I made a pact with a friend that I was going to get out once I got out of the military and go play football, and he was killed during that battle. So once I got out, got back into school, got in the swing of things, I just started training my butt off, 6 hours a day, getting my books up, just going through the grind of 2 days realistically on my own, and just pushing, and finally my friends were just like, hey, you're not getting any notice, you're not getting anybody to see you and all this hard work you're putting in, you might have a good shot at it, you should make a recruitment video like high school kids do. So my best friend's friend owned a production company, called him up, we got a shoot together, and kind of went viral on YouTube, and overnight it kind of took off, went viral, and I was contacted by about 50 schools, roughly, give or take, one of those being Coach Dabo, and he's like, hey, I'd love to talk to you about an opportunity to walk on here at Clemson. So I came down for an official visit, or unofficial visit, during my spring break, and fell in love with it. I left here knowing I wanted to play here after meeting with him one-on-one, and what his background story was, what mine was, both being walk-ons, same kind of position, same kind of overcoming obstacles throughout life to get where you want to be. And I just really connected with him. I connected with the environment, the players here. I mean, it's a statement here that the football players make it. I mean, it's a family bond. And I left one family in the military for another one here, and I couldn't be more happier to suit up in orange.
Now, in the chat room, Nathan says, I love his new nickname, Lieutenant Dan. I love it. That's good stuff there. I appreciate Nathan checking in with us. I see Harrington's up in the chat room as well. Come on, people. Look, you click the join button, you come in, you have some fun with Clemson Tiger fans. That's the issue. We get a lot of viewers. We don't get a lot of participants. Come on in. It's okay. These guys in here, they don't bite. They're willing to spend some time with you chatting about your favorite team, my favorite team, the Clemson Tigers. The next set of questions for him was, how will you adjust to the college game, and what will it be like? And this was the question David Hood asked him. What will it be like to wear a helmet again? So let's hear what Lieutenant Dan had to say about that.
I'm not intimidated. It's something that I've worked for. I've always been an athlete. I competed at all levels. People I played against in high school and in the NFL now, so it wasn't a level of competition that I was against so long ago wasn't up to par to where I'm at now. But the dedication I put in, the shape that I'm in, the skills that I possessed when I played, I think I'll be a factor, not only on the field but off the field, whatever I can contribute. And I think anything that I proceed or, go over anybody's expectations, that's kind of just icing on the cake. And I think that's I love to be in this position. There's really no pressure on me. I'm not this high-scouted athlete expected to change this program. I'm not. I'm just a cog on the wheel that's going to play my role and better the team from an individual standpoint and kind of inside of what I've been through as a person. And if I can help mold, some of these guys in the locker room to have the same perspective that I have on life, it's not only going to benefit us on the field but in their lives as well. So I want to come in as an instrument in that sense. And, hey, if I make a catch, I make tackles on special team, that's just a bonus. And I think I can do that. I think I will do that. And so I'm in a spot where, I'm kind of just letting it all loose, and I really have nothing to lose. Well, if we're talking football helmet, it's been a while, but combat helmet wasn't too long ago. No, football helmet, it's been high school, so it's been almost 6 years. And, that's a long, I don't feel old, but, when you actually sit back and kind of span on the last 6 years, it is kind of quite some time, half a decade plus one. And it's going to be a good feeling. I actually got fitted for it, and putting it on in the equipment room was just one of those, brought it back. I'm sure, a lot of you have played high school football, and, you didn't play, and, you always dreamed of that chance to get it back again. And I'm in that position. I have that second opportunity that so many people have said, I wish I could get one more shot. Well, now it's my shot. I have that opportunity. That helmet is on my head. I have a school that I'm proud to be a part of.
And I'll tell you what, you can tell that he is absolutely thrilled to be a part of this Clemson program. And I think the other thing is to have that opportunity to be in there in that locker room, to build that camaraderie with these guys, to know what it's like to stand there side by side with a guy who's got your back and will put his life on the line, and you'll put your life on the line for him. I understand that it's a difficult process, I think, in any military style situation to kind of look at the facts of what he's been through to get to this point, and you say to yourself, that's a great guy to have involved in your program. Next, you might want to know what teams were in the mix. Well, Daniel Rodriguez, number 83 for the Clemson Tigers, lays that out for you right here.
Top three was actually UVA, Virginia Tech, and Clemson. And UVA told me right off the bat, they really, I talked to them, they were really interested. But my high school grades weren't good enough. And they told me that my college GPA was fine, fantastic, but they weren't, my high school grades were just too far of a stretch, which I knew. I was a teenager that didn't care about my future. I didn't realize how important high school was until it came back and bit me in the butt. And Virginia Tech I had made contact with. That was actually the school I wanted to play for, being a Virginia native. I had talked with Coach Beamer and some of their assistants, And for me in my position, since I was so far removed from high school, I couldn't retake my SATs to be on that new scale system they have because it's changed since I was out of high school. So with Virginia Tech, the rule states that I need an associate's degree. So Virginia Tech told me to get my associate's degree and come back and talk to them. Well, there's a waiver called the 2-4 transfer waiver, which waives the associate's degree, and you can come in and play, not being a qualifier out of high school. Well, I was 1 credit short of an associate's degree when it was all said and done, and Clemson was like, we'll put in a waiver for you and see what the NCAA says. So Virginia Tech didn't want to do it. UVA had, told me no, and I told Virginia Tech, like, hey, these schools are gonna, the school's gonna put a waiver in for me. Like, I'm gonna go down and take a visit, see what it's all about. And when I came down and visited, that was the seal deal. I didn't care how long it took me to come here. I knew I was going to play here.
So Daniel Rodriguez, a combat veteran, Virginia says your grades in high school weren't good enough to get in, and he does everything he can do for Virginia Tech. They're saying, you know what, we're not going to do the waiver. Give me a break. Now, look, there are tons of veterans out there, and I don't want to turn this into a political discussion about the rights of veterans versus the rights of everyday citizens, but I'm going to tell you this. This young man did everything his country asked of him, and he had 2 universities in his home state trying to get him to jump through hoops like he's working at the Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Circus, and that's an embarrassment. And I'm glad that Clemson opened up their doors in Virginia and Virginia Tech. In my opinion, you should be ashamed that this kid is not on your team. You were in the mix. You had a chance to have this guy, but you let the ball slip through your fingers. And it is my hope that at some point in his career, Daniel Rodriguez, when given an opportunity in a game against Virginia Tech or Virginia, that young man makes a play that shows them what they missed out on. Next up, Daniel talks about the hardships and his dealings with post-traumatic stress disorder. One thing that a lot of these veterans these young men coming back from Afghanistan and Iraq and overseas and all these high combat areas are suffering from in today's society.
I was diagnosed with PTSD. I don't think any one of us that came off that mountain alive didn't. But yeah, it's just one of those things. Yeah, I've had sleepless nights. I've gone through counseling. It really didn't work for me, but ultimately my therapy is what I gave up at such a young age with sports. And when I get in the weight room, when I get on the field, when I put those cleats on, it's one of those things that just kind of clears my mind and puts me at ease, and it's something I have back. And so my peace of mind, my nature, my well-being that I abandoned is back. I hope my story can help veterans with PTSD, kids that aren't doing as well in high school, and let me be a role model or a symbol of, it's not too late to get back what you love, or, hard work pays off, or you can overcome post-traumatic stress disorder. You can do these things. It just takes a lot of will and hard work, and things can get accomplished. I'm using the hardships, the horrors, the killing, the friends that I've lost as my fuel to where I want to be, So I think that if you can turn and manipulate anything negative in your life and use it as something good, then you're on top. And that's what I've kind of taken into my own life is, yeah, I've been through some hard stuff. Yeah, I've seen some things. Yeah, I've had to do things, but transitioning back to a first world country that has McDonald's on every corner isn't as difficult as you think, So, just kind of one of those things. That's my outlook, I was at places where I didn't have electricity. I didn't shower for 7 months. I was under combat fire every day.
And he talks now about his thoughts on Clemson and their military tradition. This is, of course, Daniel Rodriguez, who is a Clemson Tiger, former military veteran who is joining this Clemson Tiger team, some 6 years removed out of high school. He's going to give his thoughts on Clemson's military tradition and playing Virginia Tech on Military Appreciation Day, October 22nd, which is a special day as well for Daniel Rodriguez, as his father, who passed away right after he graduated from high school, October 22nd, was his dad's birthday as well.
Yeah, Scroll of Honor, the history here at Clemson, it all kind of ties in. I got a tattoo of a tiger when I was 19 for no reason, and it's kind of destiny now. So there's a lot of factors that play into me coming here, and it's really unique how everything's kind of molded and bonded here. And the alumni, the fan base have been so supportive and, really show support, not as me as an athlete or as a student, but what my service to this country was. And it's tremendous, man. It's great. Memorial Stadium, military background, Scroll of Honor, you're going to be playing right next to it. So it's a good feeling. It's awesome. It's actually a bizarre circuit. That's actually my dad's birthday too, October 20th.
Oh, wow.
So it was my dad's birthday, Virginia Tech Military Appreciation Day. It's pretty, like I said, once again, things have aligned. They're pretty, significant. So yeah, I've definitely put myself there. I mean, all my friends and family are Tech alumni, or not family, but friends and back home, So it's kind of like the South Carolina Clemson rivalry. We have Tech UVA, that's what we call it. So very split, but all of them are excited to come down and see me. Military Appreciation Day, my dad's birthday, the school I wanted to play for initially. So yeah, I've kind of jumped ahead in my mind. I won't get too excited, but I've got a friend that plays Virginia Tech, so we text back and forth talking trash already. Man, that's tough. I'm not saying it's tough because it won't relate in any way or aspect, but you weren't there to see it in color. You weren't. You as a player, if you're my teammate, you didn't see a bullet go through your shoulder. You don't have blood on your boots. You don't have brain still on your clothing. You can't take what I've seen and just tell it to them and not have the realities of there. But if anything that I can do as far as my perseverance goes, as far as I don't ever believe in quitting, I've overcome the odds once, many times. I was outnumbered 10-1, and I did my share to get here. If I can show that through my work ethic and the belief that I have that it's never enough to accomplish something that you have your mindset to, I hope that rubs off on somebody. So I think that with my story, if you will, with my background, if that just generates some kind of fuel inside the locker room that, hey, anything's possible. So cliche, but that's really how I live my life. So I don't sell myself short on anything that I do. And I don't think anybody in that locker room will if they're around me, because that's not how I am.
And that last question he was answering was, how can he take the experience from being in the military and help this Clemson Tiger team? And Nathan makes a great point in the chat room. When you talk about how young this team is, over half this ball club underclassmen, this young man coming on board with this team with all the life experiences he has can do a great job, I think, for developing some of these guys mentally to get through some of those tough situations. The final question that I'm going to play for you here was asked, do you hope to get into the Virginia Tech game?
Honestly, that's an understatement. I plan on playing in every game. So, yes, I do. But I don't have one piece of doubt that I'm not going to get my way on the field somehow. That's just how I am. I didn't come here just for, looks and camera and media. I came here to play football. So, yeah, I plan on being on the field.
Unbelievable stuff there. So glad to have Daniel Rodriguez as a part of this Clemson Tiger team. I don't think you can state it enough. I mean, there have been some great stories in the history of college football with former military combat veterans who have gone on to play at other schools. And never once that happened has anybody made fun of that situation or that circumstance, whether it's your arch nemesis down in Columbia. You'll remember just a couple of years ago, they had a guy who had played, he was much older, played wide receiver for them, who was a combat veteran, and you find these guys all over the country. But for this circumstance to work out the way it did for Clemson, it's truly unbelievable. And for Coach Dabo Swinney, I tell you what, the good, positive press continues, I think, in the national minds. And I really think that ultimately when you get down to it, this young man's going to do a great job for Clemson. And I think he'll be a great spokesman. And as Nathan also mentioned in the chat room, he wouldn't, fully expect College Game Day to do a special on Rodriguez the week of perhaps the Auburn game over in Atlanta on College Game Day, or even maybe just before that Virginia Tech game on Military Appreciation Day in Clemson. And I said the 22nd. It's actually October the 20th. So I just want to correct that one mistake I did make. And finally, we end the program with Ray's email. Ray emailed us earlier today. You can email us clemson81@gmail.com. And Ray says, here's a wild idea. How about Danny Ford for the new athletic director? Guess it would be shot down before it takes off, and I guess I'm just one of those hanger-ons, but I saw and heard Danny address Clemson Nation many times. I still love watching his old coaches show when I can find one on the web, and perhaps he's too old. Perhaps he's lost his magic, but he could play a crowd better than any I've ever seen from Tiger Town. He served enough time to satisfy a major felony conviction. I am for a pardon. And Ray, we appreciate you emailing us on the program. Ray sent us some excellent stuff earlier in the week as well from the state newspaper, if there's much excellence that comes out of there. But it was an article about Clemson and some of the responses that Clemson Tiger fans were getting. Sometimes I think reading the reaction to pieces of writing in this day and age has become much more interesting. Well, that's all the time we have for the day. Right at 1 hour here on the program. We always say we're going to do a shorter show, but for whatever reason, it's ended up being a little bit longer. In next week's program, we'll talk more about the Atlantic Coast Conference. We've given you our Atlantic and our Coastal Division champions. We've got Clemson in the Atlantic. We've got Virginia Tech in the Coastal. But we didn't tell you who we thought would win the Atlantic Coast Conference championship. We'll talk about that next week. We'll also update you on the athletic department and the athletic director situation, your thoughts, tweets, emails, and more. And if you are interested in advertising with us for the final time here on the program, I'll mention it. Just get in touch with us, and we'll send you all the information you need. I appreciate everybody being with us, watching the show live. Thanks to Nathan Harrington, David Hood of TigerNet.com, and you, most importantly, for listening to us through the podcast edition or on our YouTube page, which is youtube.com/LSwannMedia. Till next time, as always, y'all take care now, and go Tigers!